British agricultural evolution. Today, you're going to learn about the British agricultural revolution. You've probably heard of the Industrial Revolution. That's what I learned about in college. And so what do you associate with the Industrial Revolution?
Dirty.
What?
Dirty.
Dirty? Trains, yes. What kind of trains?
Well, the coal, it was the beginning of the coal trains.
Coal-fired steam engines.
Yep.
Yes, right, exactly. But what you may not know is that prior to the Industrial Revolution, there was also another revolution. It was the British Agricultural Revolution. And so this happened in the 18th century, early 18th century, with the invention of the plow. So it wasn't actually the invention of the plow. The plows have always existed. But it was the first time that you had commercially available plows. So it was with the invention of pig iron. And so it was a cheap way of manufacturing very hard, effective plows that we didn't have before. And so this is one of the things that made agriculture much more productive than we had ever seen in history before. And along with the plow, several other inventions came about very shortly after that. In particular, the threshing machine. So the threshing machine, it separates the wheat from the chaff, right? And so we're mostly familiar with that. Today, it would be a combine. A combine does threshing and among other things, baling. Okay. Prior to this, we had to use something called a flail to separate the wheat from the chaff. Have you ever seen a flail? No, we don't even know what a flail looks like. A flail is basically a big piece of wood with a chain attached to it to another big piece of wood. And you basically spend the whole day flailing the wheat to separate the wheat from the chaff. Very labor intensive. So you can imagine, without things like plows or threshing machines, that agriculture was not very productive. And in the case of drought or something like that, it's probably very likely that you would go through any reserves you might have had, in which case people probably wouldn't be able to eat. This is why people starved in the past. This is why people were not able to grow their cities, grow their populations, grow their nations, because generally agriculture was not productive enough to create reserves that allowed people to survive droughts. So this is the British Agricultural Revolution. Amazing growth, not just in agricultural productivity, but in population, direct correlation with the growth of population in Britain, just corresponding with the creation of these inventions. And so when we think of the agricultural revolution, a lot of people, they talk about something called the enclosure of the commons. Prior to this agricultural revolution, people lived on the land, the commons, and they worked the land, but they didn't own the land necessarily. There was a landowner, a gentry, that basically owned the land and allowed the peasants to work the land in exchange for various rights. With the enclosure of the commons, the gentry basically said, sorry guys, we're much more productive now than we were ever were before, so we don't actually need all of you to stick around anymore. A lot of them had to go, hence enclosure. A lot of them had to go to the cities, hence Industrial Revolution. labor that was fed and easily nourished because there was all of this productive agriculture. So as you can see, there's this cycle that happened. And basically, the Industrial Revolution was a product of the Agricultural Revolution, and it spread from Britain to the United States, to Europe, and with it, riots, revolutions, and other things. Because with this new productivity came changes in social relations. And so when you had gentries that were not willing to commodify their land and adopt these new practices, there was a conflict between the different classes. And so you had things like France, Russia, China, big problems. Why is this important? This is important because people say we're currently going through the second industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution basically consists of two things: automation and this so-called Internet of Things, basically sensors connected to everything, allowing the consumption, distribution, and assembly of everything almost automatically. What does this do? This creates surplus labor. Surplus labor, perhaps, potentially on the same scale that was created during the agricultural revolution. The question is, we had cities to send all of these people when we had the agricultural revolution. The question is, where are we going to send all of these people now?
Ooh.